This is Into the Deep with Catherine Just, a podcast devoted to the evolution of consciousness, connection, and inspired creative expression. Hi, Chrissie.
Hi, Catherine.
Thanks for coming to this podcast today.
It's an honor. I'm so excited to be with you.
I am excited too. I just found Chrissie on Instagram and fell in love basically immediately. And I want to open it up first just for you to introduce yourself to people who might not have found you yet, about just who you are and what you do.
Okay. Well, my name is Chrissie and I am a mama. That's always the first thing that flies out of my mouth. I'm a mama of two, but I feel like a mama to everyone. And I've felt like that since I was a little girl. Like I felt very mothering of people, of humanity. And so my medicine and what I bring to the world, I think, is sort of very much flavored with that, with mother medicine, mother energy. But yeah, my vehicle for my love, I guess, is the Mana movement, is my foundation that's about bringing people into themselves, really. You could say into their power, into their alignment, into purpose, into love, but really just sort of stripping away a lot of what isn't us. And so that the truth of us can actually take up the space again. So yeah, that's my everything, really. Like I feel like my work is my life, is me. It's like there's no sort of separation. I feel like I'm just singing my song.
I love that. You're singing your song.
Yeah, I definitely am. I'm singing it. I'm singing it loud, Catherine, like a little birdie that won't shut up. I'm just so happy to sing my song. Really, I feel like that, and yeah, and just uber passionate. I'm a woman that's uber passionate, just an artist. Do you know? I see the tremendous beauty. I'm fascinated, actually. I'm just fascinated by everything, by leaves and everything. Just astounds me. So I'm, yeah, always in wonder, I feel, unless I'm not, unless I'm in my shit, which happens. Yeah, just sort of, yeah, passionate human being, I reckon.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I would say heart open, passionate human being.
yeah, thank you. I feel that too. I feel my heart is very open.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for that.
I would like to just know what brought you to this. I know that you said that mother is the first thing and that you've always been in that energy of mothering in some way, even when you were younger. I'm wondering what brought you into what is now the Mana movement. What process have you gone through in your own life to be so passionate about what you're passionate about?
Oh man, like how long is a piece of string? Have you got 2 days?
Yes.
Well, I just see it as obviously a gentle progression of just through life. There's been a few really defining moments, which I'll mention in a sec. I guess there have been actually a few sort of real pivot points. But I was doing this really young. I can remember in the playground at schools, always energetically backing the underdog and fully like flowing them, understanding, seeing their beingness. Like I can remember being like that young and wanting to be like that, like really wanting to sit with the girl in the playground. Bawling and in tears. I'd want to sit with her and listen. And then that sort of progressed up to leaving school, and I would always be the one in the corner of the pub listening to the wino, or my friends would be like, "Where's Chris?" And she's over there with the winos again. And I would just be sitting and wanting to listen to the people that have heavy energy. Do you know, like I was attracted to heavy energy. I can see I've been, yeah, actually, if I think I haven't sort of put it that way before, but I have been. And even like moving to London as a little one, I was living in Brixton. Moving to Paris, I was in Chateau Rouge with the people that had more weight to carry. Um, I've always been you sort of, yeah, intrigued by that and wanting to help, I guess. But yeah, I mean, my path's taken me through a lot of, I used to work at Greenpeace in London in the head office in the press unit. And so I was doing a lot of activism and helping planet sort of with that kind of stuff. But I guess always sort of fine tuning my ability to listen and to feel, really feel people, like the layers, like actually understand feeling the layers around a being's heart and spirit, like the texture of it, even the viscosity of the energy, just like get like fine tuning my
Mm.
ability with that. And then, yeah, I guess the defining moments were coming across the body of work that I'm a guardian to. So this humanity workshop, I didn't create that. I was trained in that. So I came into an organization where I came in to heal my heart. I came in to really look very closely at my relationship with my mother. That
Mm.
was the thing that was bombing me out. So I was addicted to alcohol and partying like crazy in Europe through my 20s and sex addicted and the whole thing, running so far away from my pain. And yeah, but 29 came in and went, right now, I've got to sort this shit out. You know, if I want to help people, I've got to work this out. And luckily found an incredible body of work that just is so efficient. And then I trained
Mm.
in it. So that would be a key point for me. Absolutely. That's where I met my late teacher, Liz Gilbert Grant. She passed a couple of years ago. I met her in that organization. We ended up working very closely together.
Mm.
And then I guess another sort of big moment was going to Peru for the first time. So in that happened in 2012, and I didn't know I had a connection to Peru at all. I actually went to meet David Wolf, and yeah, I would have gone anywhere at that point to meet him. I wanted to connect him with him, and it just so happened it was Peru. And then when I got there, it just doors opened like in an astounding way that I just couldn't even believe it. I just had to go, no, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Like they were all telling me, you're from here. We've been waiting for you. Oh,
Wow.
we know you. You're a bridge person, this, that, the other. I was like, yeah, okay, okay. Not my truth yet. Okay. And then, yeah, just developed over years. It became really obvious to the point where shamans of the Eros tribe would have dreams of me bringing a lot of people saying, you must bring people. You're a bridge person to the teachings. Okay. All right. Okay. And so that opened up a huge path of a remembrance for me, actually, of a lot of knowing of the Andean way, the Andean
Mm.
path, the Andean cosmology. It feels like my skin. Until this point, it's felt very much like my skin. As soon as I went back there, Catherine, I was like, whoa, like I really know this. I know you. I know these mountains. I've been here. And that was confirmed in all the readings from lots of the elders there. And yeah, and so that became an amazing path of training, I guess, in sort of shamanic skill, which benefited obviously my passion of moving energy, understanding, helping to free energy for people. And it's just been the most amazing life, actually. Like I feel so lucky that my work brings me into connection with groups of people often, like to
Mm.
be with groups of people, to fall in love with groups of people often.
Ah.
It's a miracle, really. Yeah, so I think that they're the defining moments for my path, really. And then I guess my teacher passing, my
Mm.
beautiful, who was such a dear ally to me, she passed, and when she first did, I thought, I can't do this. How am I going to do this without her? How am I going to continue training this team without her? I can't.
Yeah.
And in fact, she kind of said, no, I needed to go so you'd step into your power.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I accept that. Don't necessarily like it. I prefer her here. But yeah, I understand that. And yeah, and I think that actually the next year, like moving country, I've been back in Oz for 15 years now, and it's well time for me to move. After 10 years in Europe and 15 back here, I'm so ready to spread my wings again, and I can feel I can feel something very exciting ahead relative to the ley lines
Mhm.
in Utah. The ley lines that run through that land, that run down to the Andes, actually are very activating of my spirit and of my medicine. So I'm looking forward to coming over and seeing what happens and meeting beautiful people like you.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I used to live in Utah. We'll talk.
Cool. Oh,
Well,
nice.
thank you. Thank you for bringing us inside the journey in these pivotal moments. I felt very emotional just listening to you talk because I could feel the depth of respect you have for your own path and what you went through and the teachers that you met and like stepping into Peru and recognizing yourself in a different way. And there have been a couple times in your lifetime where you've resisted who you are and then you had opportunity to step more fully into the you that you're here to be. And that's just beautiful to hear and witness in you. And it makes me emotional because I think many of us have had these moments in our own lives, myself included, where we're given opportunity to surrender to our gifts
Mm.
and to stop hiding in the smallness of not enoughness or that somebody else has the key and I don't, I couldn't like there. It's beautiful to just hear you speak about the teachers there and what they saw and that you could confirm that too, just about the land and the dreams and all of that. That's a whole podcast. Beautiful. But thank you for taking us through that. And it brings me back to the beginning point around what brought me basically to be in love at first sight with you. And it was a live that you did on Instagram where you were talking about addiction to alcohol and drugs and what it does to your spirit and your soul and the disconnection there and the work that you do. You're so passionate about it. I just leaned in and I was like, I don't know who this is, but I need her around me. And I wanted to introduce you to all the people that are around me. And I took so many notes just listening to you. And one of the things that I loved about what you were saying is that it doesn't matter how long you've been clean. Nobody talks about that. I think we
Yeah.
think about, well, I have X amount of years sober, but the issues are still in my tissues, as my friend Tommy Rosen would say. And I'm wondering if you could speak to that work that you do and your beliefs around that.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for that. It's such a fascinating topic, and it is little understood. I mean, I feel I understand it very little to really the depths and intricacies of what's happening metaphysically when a human being decides to take manufactured drugs. Like it's so much more than we recognize, I think. But what I see is that in the timeline of someone's life, so I'll make up an example, I guess, to sort of demonstrate this. Let's say you have a person who, as a teenager, had terrible difficulties with their parents separating and decided to smoke a lot of marijuana, take a lot of LSD or something like this. And then in their 20s, they get clean and they're in their 30s now and they're like, oh, no, I'm clean. It's what happens is at those times, we suppress a huge amount of heavy energy. So we bury it through the use of the substances. And that stuff doesn't necessarily move just because we stop taking substances
Right.
at all. And a lot. So, what I also know is that very few of us truly do know what we've suppressed. People have an intellectual understanding. Oh, I know I've got a lot of grief suppressed because my parents separated. They'll have an intellectual understanding of what they think is suppressed, and they may be right. But when we actually go deep enough, there's so much that we have never even recognized that is in there. We would just, it's completely unbeknownst to us.
Mm.
And unless we're willing to go back and uncap and really feel again what we shoved down as a teenager, which is still here in your 30s, 40s, 50s, doesn't
Yeah.
go anywhere. Like you said, the issues are in the tissues, it's still there.
Right.
So, on a humanoid, emotional, from a that viewpoint, there's so much that is still suppressed, regardless of how clean we are. But then spiritually, it's like I was saying in that little live there, that parts of our soul do fly off in disassociation when we are traumatized. Even car crashes, general anesthetic, huge shock to the heart or spirit, we fly off. Do you know, we just go, not body, not safe, body, not safe, I'm out of here. And we don't necessarily come back unless we have done some work on soul reclamation, or made the body feel safe enough from that heavy energy that caused us to take the drugs, so that then the soul can re-inhabit. And so these are intricacies, but that are so important. So few people are truly, what I see is that so few people are truly embodied. And I don't mean like buff and eating the right way.
Yeah.
They can look embodied and be able to
Yes.
flip their bodies like a
Showered.
gymnast, pole dance or whatever. That doesn't fucking mean you're embodied. Sorry. Like, it really doesn't. It really doesn't. It's like how much of your spirit and soul is safely encased in the physical body, facing life, facing the future with full creativity, with full agency. Not a lot. And I get it. This world's nuts. Like, it makes perfect sense that we're all like, see ya. I'm
Yeah.
checking out a bit. This isn't pretty here. So it's a collective issue. It's rife. And then we're dealing with all sorts of other technologies of recent years that
Yes.
dislodge the soul. And so it's a big thing, calling the soul back in. We do a lot of that on the Andean path. We call our souls in all the time. All the time, even if we're feeling fully embodied, we still keep calling our soul in, always.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
Do you do anything like that, sort of calling your soul back in?
Well, the work that I've done with Miguel Ruiz is the
Mhm.
same but different. I think that's another reason why I was like, who is she? I need to know her, or maybe I've already known her. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. And when I met Miguel, I had 10 years of sobriety, but I didn't want to be here anymore. And I met him, and what I heard was that 98% of the reason why we suffer is because of what we're thinking. And usually what we're thinking is negative about ourselves based on a story that we made up. We're
Yeah.
making meaning out of everything, right?
Mhm.
And so for me, the taking responsibility for I laugh at myself because you should have seen it. It wasn't pretty. I was fighting this for a long time. Just he would say that and I would say, you have no idea what I've been through. If you knew what I've been through, you'd probably change your tune. And it took me a long time of just staying in the room and listening to really understand that the hell that I'm in, I caused.
Yeah.
And that I continue to. The voice in my head is in everybody's head. It's a collective, and we don't know it. We think it's us because it sounds like us.
Right on.
And then we're addicted to the story. And I
Yep.
think that addiction can be more harmful than potentially the drugs and alcohol
Yes.
for a longer term because I feel, and I hear what you're saying. That's why I'm like, wait a minute. This is adding to my, my heart is opening to what you're saying. And I really appreciate what you're saying. I think that's what makes me cry. Like when you say that you're so passionate about, and I wrote down, you want to bust people out of the matrix.
Let's do that.
I'm obsessed.
Fun.
And
Rebellion.
so
Go, go.
recognition, I can't help but laughing. Recognition of what I'm creating, that I've created this and I am a dreamer. This whole thing is a dream. I think it's real. There is a construct here when we're awake, and when we're sleeping, there isn't one, which is why we move in and out of different scenarios. And if we could recognize and wake up that we are in a dream and we could change the channel, we can change the movie, we can change the way we're perceiving everything. that
Yep.
makes me want to cry. Like the experience of that,
Mama.
the experience of that, it's Bliss Town. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
It's Bliss Town. I want to hang
Yeah.
out in Bliss
Yeah.
Town.
Right on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get high off of the energy of when I can release my fear around letting go of story
Mm.
and what might happen there.
Yes. Yep.
What happens is everything.
That's it. And this is, I mean, that's on the way to mastering the sovereignty of our mind. Do you know, like the
Yes.
mind is so infiltrated, it is so intruded upon, it is completely controlled. The mind, our hearts, never. Our hearts, never.
Never.
But the mind,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. We're completely controlled in there. And yeah, that's a big part of the work I'm very passionate about. In fact, my late teacher, Liz, created a very powerful process to help people successfully boot out Wetiko or mind virus or entities that ride in the mind. We have
Yes.
this process that helps people see it and take power over it and eject it out of the mind. And it is, yeah, it's so exciting to do that because yeah, Blisstown remains. It's
Yeah.
like move all of that rubbish out that's got nothing to do with us. My teacher Liz used to just yeah think that the mind that we have right now is an implant. Many,
Yes.
many, many thousands of years ago it was implanted. It's funny we call it the reptilian mind. Like what did we always have this? I mean, I don't see our indigenous brothers and sisters plagued like this.
No.
It's like, what's why with the mind? It doesn't feel like it feels foreign to me the way
Yes.
it is controlling our brothers and sisters and leading many to death or the thoughts of it, like yourself. Like what?
Absolutely.
What?
We're judging ourselves as good, bad, right, and wrong, like constantly.
Yeah.
The measuring system. Yes,
Yeah.
Miguel too. Miguel would call it the parasite.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
it.
I don't love that word, but I think
Yeah.
it's accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. My
Yeah.
teacher could see it. She could actually see it. She'd see it floating in the window.
Oh,
She had an experience once, Liz. She was holding a newborn when the group of people, a student had given birth and she had the baby in her arms and Liz saw the energy come in through the window and try to wrap itself around the baby. And Liz just said, "Not on my watch. This one is with me," and just held it and let the energy creep off again. But
wow.
there's so much going on. There's so much going on. And then people are fucking taking drugs every week. It's like, are you mad? Like, do you have any idea what you are opening yourself up to? And then everyone you love.
Spirits.
Yeah. 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 Not pretty one.
No,
No,
no, no. And
not.
I think that in our society, we want the easiest way out, the fastest way out. And it's in the marketing of big business, it's sold to us as if it's easy. Just go have a drink. It's fine. And
Yeah.
we don't have all the information about what that is and what it does to our spirit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they keep that from us.
I think it's interesting that people drink because they have anxiety and that alcohol actually causes anxiety.
Wild.
It just like
Wild.
perpetuates this cycle.
Wild, isn't it?
It's
Yeah, it's
wild.
so sad. Anxiety. It's like we can walk someone through that so swiftly.
Mm,
Do you know, really, it can be just a matter of hours or less to just hold a being so that they can feel it fully and understand where it comes from, and we can transmute that, they get the understanding and it's blown off. Like
oh,
it doesn't take long. Like it's wild. Everyone thinks that our upsets and our baggage and our trauma take a long time. Do you know? And yeah, it can, and that's fine. Take as long as you like. But the truth is it can move very swiftly.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm I'm
Mm.
I'm behind that 100%. I
Mm.
and I feel that oftentimes that it's procrastination. I mentioned this the other day and people are like, "What?" But I think figuring out the why of something that we're doing is a
Mhm.
distraction, honestly. I
Yeah.
feel like,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's helpful, but not if we are, it's keeping us from our vision of what we really want in our life. Like we're now over here
Mm.
getting ready when life is actually right here, right now.
That's right. I love the way, I'm probably going to screw this up, but the way beautiful Keoni Hanalei of Pohala Botanicals, the Hawaiian mystic, he sort of says it. There's one of the ferns that he channels the teachings of. I can't remember which fern, but he often says, like, how offensive to lay a promise down on the altar of life.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
what an offense.
Oh,
Don't give me your promises. I'm like, yeah, that's the whole procrastination. And people, I know what I'm stepping into. No, come on, let's go. Yeah, the mind is a culprit to so much. Yeah, that's
yeah.
right. Yeah, it's an area that I love to focus on because yeah, like we got excited just earlier about busting the people out of the matrix, or like a lot of it's existing in the mind. And
Yes.
so debunking those like booby traps in there,
Yeah.
like, is
Yeah.
so fun. It's so fun freeing beings. Yeah.
Yeah. And I find that so I think that when you read a book about or you learn a teaching, then the matrix swoops in to then use it against you if you're not
Mm,
doing it right. Like that's a whole
mm.
thing. Like we don't
Yes.
even realize that like it's so sneaky in the way that it wants to it's just sneaky. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yes. Yep. I think you're right. Who've set
Well,
it up that way? Yeah.
you talked about, I just listened to you today. You were on today talking about the class that just started,
Ah, yes.
Humanity.
Yes.
And I read about a little bit about it, but I'm curious about it because you say there are 10 keys. Like, what are the keys? And my mind wants to know.
I know everyone's mind wants to know. This is exactly the mind wants to know.
Yeah.
That's why we don't talk about them.
Yeah. That's not where the truth lives. Right?
100%. So look, if I said to you, one of the keys is blue coffee cups. Do you know what the mind goes? The mind goes, oh, blue coffee cups. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of those before. I've seen them in that shop, that shop. I've got one at home. Yeah, and the mind decides that it knows everything about blue coffee cups. What could you possibly teach me about blue coffee
That's
cups?
so true.
And so that's why we don't give away the names of these 10 keys, because it's like people will literally go, I know all about that. I don't need to come. And it's like, yeah, this
Yeah.
one is so deep that, if yeah, it basically puts people off coming because yes, they control, they start to already go into control.
Mm,
So anyhow, that the 10 keys are very simple. It's very simple stuff it's about things that energetics that we go into every day. It's daily stuff. And we have had children do the course. All walks of life can benefit and can understand it. It's totally inclusive. There's no kind of spiritual jargon. It is boots on the ground, simple stuff
mm,
that, yes, does unlock your day, does unlock any sort of situation where there's limitation. You can pull out these powers. I see them, they're keys, but they're actually powers, and move things. And once we start using these, we recognize how powerful we are. They're kind of like our powers that we haven't been taught much about. That's another way to put it. I've never thought of it like that before, but it is that. So I'll give you one. Like, one of them is decision.
mm.
And you can just see how immediately the mind goes, oh yeah, decision, I know what that is.
Right.
But we don't. we we really don't understand what decision actually is and does metaphysically around us, or indecision. We don't understand the metaphysics of these things, because when you do understand, then you're bloody powerful with it and you're using it. And that's what we can see in humanity at large, is people having the first clue of what decision actually is. And so we pull that apart for a couple of hours, and huge awareness comes in for your life and for everything. everything in your life, your health, your relation. You're starting to see why things are the way they are relative to whether you're actually making decisions or not. Because most of us aren't. People will say, oh, yeah, no, I'm good at making decisions. Oh, no, I'm making decisions. It's like, no, most people are rolling out of bed and doing the same fucking thing every day.
Yep.
Truly, even if they think they're
True.
on their purpose, they're just doing the same thing. Oh, well, it worked last week. I'll do it again. Oh, well, we've got another event on, and that one was successful. So, but they're not tuning and going, hold on, what do I really want to do now? Do I really want to do that again? We're on automatic. We're very much on automatic as a human race. We're like robotic. We're not engaging with our spirit and making decisions from that place. And so we teach a lot about what happens when you do, what happens when you don't, how to spot it, how to feel it, because it's somatic. It's not in the mind, it's all out of a body feeling. And then people can actually get back in the driver's seat and make things go right in their families, even. Do you know, like it really changes things in the families. I'll give you an example. Like so many people have difficulties in their families, right? Like everywhere,
Everywhere.
everywhere people are out with their siblings or haven't spoken to their parents or whatever, and this is just normal. This is just kind of like, oh well, it's how it is. It's like, wow. and and really, when you look at your decisions in there, like no one's deciding on anything. So we're all just wafting around in that stew, that
Yeah.
cosmic soup that's pretty damn heavy at the moment. Do you know? So when you're not decided, you're literally tumbled about in all sorts of energetics. But I often say to people, like, how have you decided that you're gonna really mend that relationship and it's gonna be beautiful and you're gonna be close again? Have you decided? Oh no, but I'm just seeing what they need to. Like no one's deciding, and that's the seat of creation. That's the absolute seat of all creation is the decision.
That's
One of my teachers in
yes.
this work say it ain't gonna happen unless you're decided. It ain't gonna happen. It's just an idea.
That's
Ideas
interesting
don't
too.
happen. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting too what you say about family. Like when you said just off the cuff, like, well, I'm waiting for them to do this, or like we're giving our power away all the time, all the time. Other people, places, things, but we're not even conscious of it. And we're not, as you said, we're not creating.
Mm,
We're not the creator.
mm.
We're passively,
Yes, that's it.
passively asleep in our life and
That's
thinking
it.
and we think we know. We think we know a
That's
lot of
what I'm
things.
saying.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying we don't talk about the keys because people think they know.
Yeah. Exactly.
People, we all do. We think that we know, and it's like, hold on, let's just have a look at what's going on. Like,
That's
have
beautiful.
a good look at what's happening in your families. Like, let's have a look. Are you being powerful and creating in there? Oh no, yeah, we're in the back seat of our own lives most of the time.
Yeah.
And it's ballsy, hey? It's fucking ballsy to actually live a heart-led life because it's definitely going in the opposite direction to most of humanity. When you get pegged with a lot of shit, when you live like that, people you're rattling cages, right? You're rattling the matrix, you're rattling the cages. People get cranky with you.
I was just going to
They
ask you
get,
about that.
they
Like, what do you
get,
do when you can see somebody suffering, they actually want the help, but then they're resisting. What,
yes.
what then?
Yes, that's a very good question. And that is a huge part of the training of the work I do and of the team that I train. It's a huge part is
Mm,
how to bring a being through resistance. It's so much in there. There's like decades really, but because it's case by case, right? And it's got
right.
everything to do with the levels of upset, the influences in their life. It's got to do with where they're living, the culture. There's so much, but I think there's some pretty simple hard and fast rules, and that's it. If someone is not reaching out for help from their own volition, you just love them. You can't try and change. You can't want people to change as much as we all do.
We
But
do.
unless they are saying to you, like, help me with this, or can you make sure I don't do that again, or I'd like to know more about what you're doing, yes, then we can help. But yes, most people don't necessarily want to change, and that's fine. Do you know, they don't have to. Like my teacher used to say, it's we don't need everyone on the planet to take responsibility and wake up. Like we'd never get there. Don't wait for that. Like it's not that, it's just a few of us.
Yes. Do you
You
think
know?
too, I have found, I'm going to admit this. I'm going to admit, I think that sometimes I get more caught up in that they're having an experience that I think would be helpful. And I think
Mm,
that is coming from ego rather
mm,
than respect
yeah.
of the journey that they're on, that I have no idea. I can see the suffering. I want them to change and to step back in love, like out of respect. It
Yes.
sounds like that's what you're talking about.
Oh, I'm
Like,
with you. I'm with you. Like again, I've totally been guilty of assuming that
yes, me too.
that some tool I have is
Yeah.
gonna be good for a person. Like, yeah, yeah, you get burnt in there, don't you?
Yeah.
It's not good. But yeah, I think really it's, yeah, as I've sort of matured on my part in this path, my path, I value the tools I have, and I'm like, look, this is here for you, but it might not be for you. But also when people do reach in, and I don't actually think it's their next step, I
Mm,
have enough care to say to someone, actually, this experience with us is not your next step on your path. We'd love you to come to this, but it's not your next step. Like your next, and we'd help them to find that next step. It's not we just say close the door. Like
right.
we'll help a being work with other practitioners or whatever it is to get them ready to do whatever it is they've come in for. Like I think that's, yeah, it's where we go, right? We're all working together, right? We're all working together. It's like we've got a common goal. And so yeah, we just, yes, I'm so happy to send people to other organizations or other healers or other whatever it is if they're a better fit. It's,
Right.
yeah, that's important.
What a beautiful way of being of service to the passion that you have to help
Mm,
people awaken and heal and be
mm,
fully self-expressed, that
mm.
it isn't necessarily just to get them to buy your stuff, which is rampant everywhere. So
And
I just wanted to witness and say the thing that that is a it's a beautiful that's a beautiful teaching to hear, that all of us, because we're told how to market, how to sell, how to deal with when people are, if they have roadblocks to buying and all the manipulation and the strategy and all that stuff to buying, and that's not where you're coming from at all. It's
oh, that
beautiful.
stuff makes me want to vomit. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, each to their own. Do whatever you
right.
like, your life, your organization. But I personally, if someone is going to send me an email 2 times a week, I'm just like, no, that is like banging on someone's door.
Yeah.
That to me is completely out of integrity. That is like, it's like, no, people like treat people powerfully. You don't need to constantly remind them and treat them like babies that need to. I know, like they'll come when they're ready. And yes, I think that's very important. And yeah, I can't do the hard sell thing. Like
That's
I'm passionate about what we do, so I love to share it. And I'm calling out to the beings that are ready to rock. Come on, we're over here. But you have to call pretty loud with all this noise because people are
Mhm.
swimming in resistances and all this sort of thing. So you have to call pretty loudly, but it's certainly not with that energy of we want you on the seat. No.
Yeah, I get that.
God,
Well, one of
no.
the things that you offer is this sailing experience with women. Like, can you please tell me how this started and what it is? And I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Please.
in fact, like this might not ever happen again. We're doing it in July. It's a lot of women have said, "Oh, come next year." I'm like, "Whoa, where are you getting that assumption that I'm doing it next year?" Like, we don't operate like that at Mana. I don't go, "Oh, this is a winning formula. I'm just going to do it again next year." Like, I cannot behave like that. It's like, is it right in my creative spirit to be there next year and to do that? Not necessarily. We're going over there now. We're going over here. So having said that, we have this beautiful journey in June, pardon me, and that came about from the borders opening up. So the borders opened up in Australia whenever it was, nearly 2 years ago, and I shot out the gate and went straight to, yeah, the Adriatic Sea. I just had this vision. I was like, I need sun, I need blue, and I'm just going to sit in it for weeks. Like I just needed to recharge after those 3 hellish years. And
Yeah.
I worked my butt off those years, day and night, on lots of councils and lots of activism. And it was hardcore. It was fucking awful, wasn't it?
Yes.
Anyhow, I just shot out and wanted to go straight to that water. I just could see the water, and yeah, ended up getting on a yacht with a bunch of pals, male and female, and was so blown away by the experience, was so blown away with the depth of rest. I'd never experienced rest like it, ever, 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 nothing like it. It's like, why haven't I done this before? Like people have been keeping this a secret from me, like sailing, sleeping on a boat for a couple of weeks. Like at the medicine was massive. And on that trip, I thought, oh, this would be beautiful with a bunch of sisters. Like, cocky, oh. And so I was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to bring some sisters here next year. And the beautiful skipper mate of mine, who just the most amazing soul. And I love this story. Actually, I have to just pop this story in.
Yes.
When I was organizing this trip with a bunch of pals, I was asking them, like, because some of them are skippers. I was like, David, are you going to skip? He's like, no, I want to relax. And then I had decided, right, gosh, hiring a skipper that you don't know to be intimately with you on your holiday could be a bit of a gamble. But no, using decision, because that key, and I've been flexing that muscle for a long time now. I'm like, nah, I am deciding. I know exactly. I'm deciding that we're going to have the coolest human being. No, this skipper rocks. That's who it is. And this friend of mine who was going to come was like, oh, I don't know, Chrissy, we're going to get some old fart, but I don't want to. I was like, nah, Dale, you don't get it. Nah, Dale, you don't get it. Like I'm like, no, I've decided. And so we rock up, and the night before getting on the boat in Croatia, I was getting WhatsApp messages from the skipper, and there was this photo, sort of the profile of this person's face, and I went, how old do you reckon this Dennis is, guys? And they're like, we all just took a guess. Oh, I reckon he's going to be in his 40s. Oh, I reckon I was like, well, I reckon this might be his son, because this guy looks pretty young. And they're like, yeah, I reckon that might be his son. And anyway, we get there, and it's this 23-year-old fucking one of the most sparkly human beings I've ever met in my life. Like one of those young ones that is so free, like so free, total Adonis, sweetest heart ever, living his purpose, living his life on his boat on this high seas. And I'm like, yeah, you're our man. You're our man. We've become great friends. So when I said to him, Dennis, I'm going to bring sisters here next year, and we're going to have like 3 boats. He's like, okay, let's do it. And we did it last year, and it was absolutely exquisite, Catherine. I can't tell you. Like, it was a journey where for months afterwards, the women were still pinching themselves. Like, really, I mean it. It's like written down in our WhatsApp group. People were like, what did that even happen? Like months later, like, I can't believe we just did that. It was so magnificent. Not only, I mean, I guess the way to put it is like fine frequencies, fine beauty and romance, like every day, just like with sisters and young. We had grandmothers, we had young ones, we had all the ages. And those islands in the Adriatic are heavy crystal. Like there's serious crystal. Plato, the philosopher, reckons that Atlantis is right there on the South Adriatic coast. It is unbelievable, the frequencies in that area, that sea, the dolphins in that sea. And we were just mooring up in paradise and just swimming and lounging and giggling and being women and massaging each other. And then we'd go to this beautiful freaking restaurant through the forest where they grow all their own vegetables and have their own lambs and we like barefoot and just
Oh
just like
my God.
wafting back onto the boat and sailing off, and everyone is so deeply relaxed. It was unbelievable, actually. Like, it was one of those experiences was like that one is a like top memory of life. And yeah, the relaxation love was profound.
Mm,
And I just can see that we all deserve deep relaxation, like every one of us, with what we are contending with on the earth at the moment with the energetics. We need it, and we deserve it, and we don't make enough time and space for it, and we don't value it enough. We don't like that reset that I had, whatever that year was, 2 years ago, when I came out of that, like the reset that it gave me. I would have paid 20 grand for that at that time. Like, I would have found it to feel that way. It was like, oh, I've just actually reset my whole life. It was amazing. So that's what we're doing. And we go into caves, we swim into caves, and I drum and sing in caves. And then Veronica, who facilitates it with me, is the most incredible medicine woman. She's like an elf. And so she's like this goddess, elf goddess. So she's very finely tuned with crystal law, plant, like flower medicine. That's it. So we work with flowers with her. We work with crystals. She tunes into some essences that we all work with for the journey. We have crystal essences that we're all taking together and meditating and yoga, and yeah, it's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
I want to know how many people have signed up already. Like, how many spots are
We actually have about 4 cabins left at this.
okay.
Yeah, we've got 4 cabins left. And yeah, ideally you bring a friend or a family member. You don't have to. We can pair you up for your cabin, but the cabins are shared. And
Hmm.
so it's lovely to come with a friend. Oh, yeah,
Mm,
last year we had mother daughters, we had sisters, we had cousins, we had friends. It was very, very special and very unlike the work I normally do. Do you know? My retreat
yeah.
work is really, really intensive. It's loving, but it's like, let's go. And
Hmm.
this one is really more about women actually just surrendering into the spaciousness of what it means to be woman, because that's when the blueprints do get downloaded, is with space. Right? It's like we are
Yes.
dreamers, but we can't receive the instructions. I don't. I notice I don't receive the instructions while I'm being masculine in a masculine world. It's like I've got to go and just I can let go and swim around with dolphins for a couple of weeks, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, got it. Boom, ready to go again.
That
That's
whole,
how
I'm so
I feel.
glad I asked about the sailboat.
It was a long answer,
I
sorry.
brought you here to talk about sailboats. That sounds, I mean, when you started talking about the energetic and you were saying the
Mm,
fine-tuned
mm,
energy there and the water and the dolphins and I
mm,
I could feel it. I could feel you embody it. You've been there. You embody that. I can feel
mm,
you. And
mm.
I want that too.
You want that? Yeah. Okay, well, I'm just going to put in another flavor, the pine. The pine. There's so much
Oh,
pine on the islands there, and you just smell pine the whole time when you
oh
walk
my
through the
God.
forest. There's like cushions of warm pine needles. It's all like, it's just, and
That sounds
pine, you
like
know how powerful pine is. We worked a lot with pine through lockdown. Yeah, we worked, yeah, with a global group of witches and worked with the pines
mm,
actually globally to help protect the wombs of women with what we were facing with that technology.
beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful.
pine is beautiful, beautiful ally. Amazing.
Well, and when you talk, I'm not done with the sailing business because because I mean I it feels like you're watching someone else have the time of their life, and it's actually an invitation for all of us to step into the life that you really want, to allow yourself the opportunity to have that bliss and to have that deep rest. That's
Mm.
like, it's such a yes. It's like yelling. I want to yell at everyone. Like, there's a yes here
Yeah.
waiting for you. That just, I could feel it because it's not something I've seen before. That as a retreat or an experience of getting on a sailboat. I don't get on sailboats. What are you talking
Right?
about?
How cool is that?
So, yeah, it's so cool. I love
It's
that you
so
had
cool.
the experience of that and now that's medicine that you offer. It's
Yeah.
so delicious.
Oh, thank you, darling. It was so beautiful. Like there were a lot of powerful women on these boats last year, and we were like, right, we're calling in the dolphins. Yeah, we want the dolphins with us. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And one of the skippers was like, he was one of the men that Dennis had hired in, and he was lovely, but he was like real kind of stoic Balkan, rubbish. These witches, what are they doing? And he was like, no, no, the dolphins. You don't see the dolphins around here. It never happens. And we were like, watch us.
You called in the
And we started,
dolphin.
yeah, we started sailing and you like the four boats just all together. And we got out our medicine drums and we started praying and singing. And it was, I think it was the next day we were sailing and they were all underneath.
Oh
And
my
I
God.
was like, oh, geez. Oh, it was so exciting. It was so exciting.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
it was really beautiful. It was so beautiful. It's like play, you know,
Yeah.
play, the art of play.
It gives you an opportunity to see what life could look like all the time, whether on a sailboat or not, right?
Well, that's right. That's absolutely right. Veronica, my beautiful sister who facilitates this with me, she said that about the experience. She noticed that she was her mind, of course, was really limiting her about herself, her life, her work, her daughter, what they could do in life, what they couldn't do in life. And going over there and having that experience just like cracked so much for her out of the way, which is like, no, we can do this. I
Yeah.
can travel to Europe with a little girl and we can have this and enjoy this and have these memories. No, I can do this. Do you know? It's like, yeah, of course you can. And it's not like we're doing this every day of the week. These are like beautiful experiences that are like memories. It's
Yes.
really special. But like if not now, when are we going to do these things? Like when are we going to honor our heart's calling, whatever it may call to? Are we going to honor it or are we going to keep shutting it down with all that mind stuff of no, we can't, no, that's frivolous, no, look at what other people know you, that's indulgent. It's like, whoa, no, what's crazy is the system that has us thinking that we don't have the right to do these things. That's what's nuts. The crazy distribution of wealth on the planet, that's not our fault. Like, see, that's the matrix makers. Like
Yes.
we shouldn't all then go play small because that's what they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
live your dreaming, live in full color. That's how we bust our brothers and sisters out of these traps, is being first,
And
you
well,
know?
that's what I see in you. You're living in full color. I can see it when you are on Instagram. It's infectious. It's inspiring.
Thank
I was
you.
going to ask you, I want to ask you a couple more things if
Mm.
you're up for more questions.
Oh, totally. I
All
love being with
right.
you. Fun. It's an honor.
So, a couple things. One is, well, I do want to talk about San Diego.
Cool. I'd love to talk
Um,
about it. Yeah.
and I'm from there. That's where I grew up. So, I
Ah.
am curious about that. It's not on a sailboat, but it is transformational in a different way. And
Well,
I
yeah,
just I want to learn more about it because it is coming up soon. There are spots, but they're going fast.
yes.
And I'm
Yes.
curious, it is a very different energetic. It's not the deep rest, it is deep transformative, more let's
Mm.
get the stuff up and out of you.
That's
Yes.
it. Yeah, yeah, that's right. So the humanity workshop that we talked about, the 10 keys, is the focus of that gathering. So that's what we'll
Okay.
be doing together, presented over the 5 days. So other things that we'll be doing are dancing and hiking and hot springs, and there'll be lots of beautiful, nourishing things. There'll be sound healing and singing and DJs, and there'll be all sorts of, and the food, I'm bringing my chef over from Australia. Like the food is going to be impeccable and it will actually be restful. It will be time out because it's device free. It's like, right, we're
Mm.
leaving the devices and we're going to actually be totally present to each other, to these teachings, to our heart. And I mean, just 5 days off the phone is deeply relaxing for anyone. And so yes, the 10 keys, that's the power of this gathering coming up. We call them the humanity gatherings because it focuses on the humanity workshop. But yeah, as I said, there'll be all sorts of beautiful other things happening. And what I do notice is that a huge part of the medicine of the Mana gatherings is the being together in between the teachings, is just the magic that happens around the fire, you know, dancing together. We do have a very particular medicine at Mana, which I haven't felt anywhere else yet.
Mm.
And I haven't, and I hear that a lot, like a huge amounts of testimony come back saying, wow, what you guys are doing, that what it's something unique. And I think if I were trying to work that out, I think it's because of the dedication to clarity that me and my team have, where we're all clean as whistles. We don't, like, we are constantly working our thing out. We have worked hard at bringing all sexual energy into full integrity, which we don't see a lot of still in the world, even amongst facilitation. There's still a lot of weird
I
shit going
know.
on. And we work hard. Like it's about the purity, actually. It's very pure, even though it's fun and grounded, and it's actually
Yeah.
very pure, the work, the humanity workshop and the and our gatherings. They've got a real purity to them. And I've had beautiful feedback and testimony from even Native American chiefs and indigenous leaders here that have come along, and they're like, whoa, what you guys are doing. They can feel it. And I don't really know how to express it more than that. It's unique. And so it's not just the teachings, it's the space. It is the space we hold. I'm thinking of something that a beautiful friend and sister said to me years ago. She said, Chrissy, I'm going to call you celebrant for humanity.
Oh,
That's what you are. I said, oh, well, I quite like that. Thank you so much. I was actually going to become a celebrant because I love weddings. Marriage and weddings, the best party ever. That's the best. But anyway, I didn't. But she said, you are a celebrant for humanity. I said, oh, thank you.
beautiful.
And she said, because in your spaces, people fall in love so quickly.
Mm.
And that is true. That's what I see at Mana, our gatherings. We hold a particular space, and it's got a lot to do with seeing straight through all the stuff that we were talking about earlier. We don't see that. We see straight into the beingness of people. And when that's happening metaphysically, others tend to do it quickly as well. It's like we're holding a space right up there, up there, up there. We're holding it there. And so when people come in, they do the same, and people just fall in love. Like really, by the first evening, everyone feels very, very close. And so it's magic, Catherine. Our gatherings feel like love magic.
Love magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
it's like I talk about this a lot, just like the idea of making love with life itself. Like that's what it sounds like you're saying, that this is an opportunity to strip away the things that are holding you back from like just eating all the yum as your base, like that's your baseline, that's what you do, that's your
Yeah.
yes, it's your yes.
Yeah, that's it. It's bring it. Well, that's what I hope. That's my prayer, I guess, for
Mm.
everyone is to feel that alive and engaged and fascinated and excited about life. Like, because I know that there's way more that I can feel. Like, I know I've got a cap as well. I'm still in entrapment in areas. Like, of course, there's so much further that we can go. But, when I look around at my brothers and sisters and see the suffering, I just think, oh God, no, please, like, we get out of there. Like, come on, this is so exquisitely beautiful. And so
Yeah.
that's what drives me, I guess, is the beauty of life and wanting people to feel it and to have it, because it is their birthright. It is their birthright to feel that and to engage with life on that and deeper levels. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We
But I
will.
feel like you've given me and the people listening, I mean, I'm emotional about it. I feel like you've given us such an invitation to say yes in the ways that we've been saying no, and that it's possible. Like you're saying it's possible. You're like saying, here, I want you to have it too.
Yes.
You can, that you can. That's just such a beautiful thing. And I hope that everybody listening today, well, I might want one of those spots. So I'm going to go over there now. And,
Yes. Oh my, come. Just say yes.
I know, I feel like
Yes.
it's such an opening and an opportunity. You give so much of yourself, and I'm inspired by you. Like my energy has shifted just by being in your presence on Zoom. So I can imagine the energy in person is healing, is in an opening in and of itself. So I just want to thank you for doing the work that you're doing.
Thank you,
It
Catherine.
helps me, and I know that it's helping the planet, and it's so important. You're so important.
Thank you so much. Oh my God. This is why I'm coming over to America. I'm coming for you.
I'm
And
coming over. I'll meet
that
you.
beautiful recognition, that beautiful acknowledgement, that generous acknowledgement, and that the humility that you've given that to me with. Like that helps me no end. I'm telling you. Like I thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
I'm going
saying
to do
that
my
too.
very fucking best. I'm going to do my very fucking best for you and your people. Like because you gave, I bow to
Oh,
fucking step up even more because you are acknowledging me, and I'm going to turn that into more gold. So thank you.
thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I
So for
mean it.
anybody that's on still with us, I'm going to put all the links and all the things wherever it is that you're watching or listening so that you can get on over and follow her on Instagram, but also sign up for all the things because it's time. It's a yes, just it's time.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. So beautiful to be with you.
You too. Okay, everybody. Ciao for now.
Ciao.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Into the Deep with Catherine Just. You can check out all other episodes and help support the podcast over on catherinejust.com/podcast. Be sure to subscribe, rate, comment, and review over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you listen to this podcast. You can share this episode on social media. I look forward to having my voice in your ears next time. Take care.